right, next we are going to talk about how to solve a system of 3 variables using Cramer's rule. So if we go back up and look at our formulas for the 2 equation systems, it's going to be a similar idea. So we're going to start with the coefficient matrix, and then for the CX matrix, we are going to replace the X column with the constants, and then the Y and Z column would be the same as the coefficient. And then for the CY matrix, we would replace the Y column with the constants. The X and Z column would be the same. And then we're going to have a CZ matrix where we would replace the Z column with the constants, and then our X and Y are going to be the same. So for number 10, we are going to set up the 4 matrices, starting with our coefficient matrix. Okay, so this will be C equals, and then we'll have the X column, the Y column, and the Z column. Okay. So for the X's, so if we just go, we can go down or we can go across, so it doesn't really matter. We just want to make sure that we pay attention. If we're missing something, that we have to put in a 0 in that spot. So for the X's, it's going to be 2, 1, negative 3. So 2, 1, negative 3. And then in the Y's, it'll be 3, 1, and then 0 because this third equation doesn't have a Y. So 3, 1, 0. And then the Z's will be 1, negative 2, 1. Okay, so down here, I'm going to do my CX matrix. Okay, so this time in my X column, I'm going to have the constants, and then I'll have the Y and Z column from that coefficient one. So my constants are 5, negative 2, negative 7. And then my Y column and my Z column are going to be the same. So I'm just recopying those. Okay. And then for the CY matrix, we will have X replacing the Y's with the constants and then the Z column. So X's are the same. So this will just be 2, 1, negative 3. And then I'm using the 5, negative 2, negative 7 in the Y spot. So 5, negative 2, negative 7. And then for the Z's, this will be 1, negative 2, 1. And then my last one is going to be CZ. So my X and Y are going to be the same this time. And then in my Z column, we will have the constants. So X column is 2, 1, negative 3. Y column is 3, 1, 0. And then the constants are going to be 5, negative 2, negative 7. Okay. So when we are done to figure out the X, the Y, and our Z variable, we are just doing the determinant of our CX matrix divided by the determinant of our coefficient matrix. So we'll have to figure out what that is. And then we do the determinant of our CY matrix divided by the determinant of our coefficient matrix. And then Z is the determinant of the CZ matrix divided by the determinant of our coefficient matrix. Okay. So we can calculate those by hand using that diagonal method that we learned in a previous video. Or on this one, I would use a calculator since we have to calculate it 4 times. So if you grab your calculator, and I'm going to zoom out here. So to type in the matrix, we have to go into our matrix menu. So that means that we're going to press the second key and then the inverse key. And then we're going to arrow over to edit and press enter. And then we are dealing with a 3 by 3, so I'm just typing over. So 3, enter, 3, enter. And then I'm going to find the determinant of my coefficient matrix. So remember, as we start typing in numbers, if it's negative, we have to use the negative key down here at the bottom. We're pressing enter after each number. And when we press enter, it's going to move across the rows. So that's how we want to start typing. So 2, enter, 3, enter, 1, enter. Now I'm on my second row. So 1, enter, negative 2. And then negative 3, enter. 0, enter, 1, enter. Okay. So now I'm going to go back to my home screen. So second mode to quit and go back to the home screen. And now we have to go back into our matrix menu. So second inverse key, over to math. And then remember that first one stands for determinant. So we're going to press enter to select it. And now we have to tell it which matrix to take the determinant up. So I'm going to press second inverse key to go back to my matrix menu one more time. I'm just going to press enter to select matrix A and then enter again. So the determinant of the coefficient matrix, let me use a different color here, is going to be 20. And then now I'm on to my next one. So if we go to CX next, we're just going to type in our matrix. So second inverse key, over to edit. And then I'm just going to reselect matrix A. So enter. Retyping in the dimensions. So 3, enter, 3, enter. And then now typing in my new numbers. So again, as I type the keys, it's going to go across the rows. And I'm just pressing enter after each one, making sure that I use a negative key, not the subtraction key. Otherwise, you're going to get an error message. Okay. So once you get that retyped in, back to the home screen. So second mode to quit. And then we can go through the process of going back and finding the determinant. But if you have this on your screen, you can press second enter, and it's going to copy and paste what you had up here. And then we would press enter to execute again, and it's going to find the determinant of that new matrix that we entered. So this one will be equal to 60. And now I just have to keep going for the Y and the Z matrix. So again, second inverse key, over to edit. 3 by 3 again. And then typing in the new numbers, going across the row. Okay. So if you need to pause the video to catch up, that's fine. And then going back to the home screen. I already have that up there, so second enter to copy paste, enter to execute, and then copying down my determinant number. And then now I have to enter in my last matrix, so that's CZ. And then we will be able to plug those into the formulas to get our final answer. All right, so that is 40. Okay. So to get our x, we are taking the determinant of our CX matrix. So let me get zoomed back in here so you guys can see a little bit easier. Okay, so we are taking 60 divided by 20. So that's going to give me 3. And then for the y, this will be negative 20 divided by 20. So that is negative 1. And then for z, it will be 40 divided by 20. So that will be 2. And again, we have to write it as a point. So my point of intersection is going to be 3, negative 1, 2 for that final answer. Okay. Now, when you get to this topic in ALEKS, it's not going to make you find every single letter. It's just going to give you one of the variables to find. So then you would just have to do your coefficient matrix, and then the whichever letter you're trying to find, you would do that one. And then also when you are doing this in ALEKS, it's going to make you type in your coefficient matrix, find that determinant, so what it's equal to. And then if it's making you find the x variable, you are going to have to type in this matrix, and then you're going to see a fraction bar here where it's over the coefficient matrix in the symbols for the determinant. So they look like absolute value symbols, but it means determinant. So you have to remember that when you give your answer for x, that it's the determinant of your CX divided by whatever number you're typing in for the determinant of your coefficient matrix. And you are going to get messy fractions for that, so you are just going to leave them as fractions. Okay, so if you are getting fractions for that topic, don't think you are doing it incorrectly. Okay. And then that is also going to conclude this section.